As the nation's first all-vote-by-mail state, Oregon is a trailblazer, continuing to expand voter access with passage of the 2016 Motor Voter Law. Every citizen is mailed a paper ballot with a prepaid return envelope. Vote by mail leaves a paper trail, crucial to preventing fraud and cyber attacks. It's simple, secure, and hugely popular. Oregon consistently ranks among states with the highest voter turnout. You can register to vote online through oregonvotes.gov, the state's secure portal for all things voting. There you will find information and resources you can trust, tailored to meet a variety of needs. Elections Director Steve Trout gives us a tour of what we can find there and explore year-round to become better informed voters. Steve, one of the things that people are going to be wanting to know is, how do I even register to vote? And that's why we direct people to the OregonVotesgov website, and you're in charge of that. Can you at least start us with the basics on how that website works so people can actually get registered to vote?
Right, and that's the best way to register to vote. And so, as you said, oregonvotes.gov is is the best solution for trusted information. If you put a /register after that, it'll take you straight to the registration page.
Well, why do we go there?
Once you're there, the first thing you have is actually a selection of 6 languages, which allows people to vote in one of those 6 languages. And so you select the language and then click on it, and that will take you to the voter registration page for the language that you selected. So that's a nice feature that we've been able to add on here in the last couple of years to provide greater language access for those with limited English abilities.
So let me see if I understand this correctly, because I have the registration page up now. To register to vote in Oregon, you must be a U.S. citizen, a resident of Oregon, and at least 16 years old. And if you're not yet 18 years of age, you won't receive a ballot until an election occurs on or before your 18th birthday.
There's really 2 paths. If you have a current driver's license or Oregon ID number from DMV, you'll be able to register instantly right there on the online portal.
And then if you don't have an Oregon driver's license, permit, or ID card, you can still use the online voter registration application. Is that right?
Correct. So, it's the best place to go even if you don't have a driver's license number, because again, even if we can't make that direct link with DMV, you still have that form that you can mail in. And the main reason we need that DMV number is that's where we get your signature. You sign at DMV, that we then, upon your online registration, will then import that signature from your driver's license. So we use that in our database to compare when your ballot comes in, to be able to compare the signature. And so that's why we need that driver's license to be able to do it fully online. Again, if you don't have a driver's license, still fill out the form. You'll sign the paper physical signature and mail that in, and then we'll scan that and have that signature. So that's really the reason for the two different paths.
All right. What happens if you're already registered to vote? How do you check to see if you're registered?
So, and that's probably, especially in a presidential year, that's probably the biggest question that we get. And so, again, oregonvotes.gov, and there's a registration button, and then there's a My Vote button. And My Vote has all of the information specific to each one of us as far as the election goes. You can go in there, enter your name and your birth date, and your information will pop up. It'll show you what party you're registered at. It'll show you what address you're registered at, and that's really an important one this year. You want to make sure that we have your current address, because that's where the ballot's going to be set. And so if the address in My Vote is not where you live now, then use My Vote. You can use My Vote to update that address to make it current.
When do you need to actually update your registration?
So the voter registration deadline for new registrations is always 21 days before the election. With respect to updating your registration through My Vote, if you're already registered and you need to change your party or change your address, You can do that at any time, but again, we encourage you to do that, at least a month ahead, so that we have that information, because the counties are going to be preparing those ballots to be mailed out, at least a month before the election. And so if we don't have your current address, we're going to send it to your old address, because that's what we have on the file. And so the sooner you can update that, the better. And frankly, anytime you move, it's a good thing to do that. A lot of people think that it happens automatically, but we need that information, and we've got other sources, but the fastest and best way is to just go on to My Vote and update your registration when you move.
So bringing it back again, you use My Vote to check to see if you're registered to vote, view your voter registration information, update it, check the status of your ballot, find contact information for the county election office, find contact information for your elected officials, and find a ballot drop site. That's pretty important too, to say you don't know, let's say you've moved somewhere and you don't know, well, where am I going to drop off a ballot if I want to do it by drop site?
Yeah, that My Vote site has a lot of really good information for all voters in Oregon. And as you said, you can check on the status or change your party, but the main thing is you can track your ballot there. It'll tell you that you're going to be mailed a ballot and when it's going to be mailed out. It'll tell you when it was mailed out. It'll tell you when it was received. And so that's all important information for people to be able to track their ballot and have confidence. As you said, it gives the nearest drop box and other drop box information. It lets you know who your elected officials are. A lot of times people say, well, who represents me in the House? I know who represents me in Congress, but what about the State House? Who's my state representative or my state senator? And so you can find all of that information on there as well.
Good to know. Let's take a look at student voters. I know that a lot of first-time voters are students. So can you take us there? Let's go to the register. Oh, there you go. Student voters.
Right. So, and I think for students, students have options. And one thing to remember, as we mentioned earlier about registering, you can register at 16, but you're not going to get a ballot until you turn 18. And so that's going to be the trigger there is for, once you turn 18, you'll get a ballot as long as you're registered. But for, say your child is away or say you're a student away at college, and it's like, well, do I vote at college or do I vote, where I lived at home? And so the answer is you get to choose. You only get to be registered at one of them. And we've got ways to identify that, but if you want to continue to be registered, if you were living with your parents before you moved away to college, that's okay. My son's off at college. He continues to be registered here, even though he's in another state. I know there's people here at the universities that come from other states, and so they have the option either to remain registered where they were, because again, they have an intent to go back there, or that's their permanent residence, or they can register on campus or where they're going to school, as long as they meet the requirements there. So really what we try to tell students on this page is you've got options, but you have to choose one. You can't be registered in both places. And
that really includes what you're going to use as, what is my residential address? You've got to do that. And what is my mailing address? And right. Determine if you're going to be thinking of yourself as, what if you're out of state? And what if you're studying abroad? What about studying abroad? Right. And so all of that, you have options, and really what we need is that mailing address, because again, that's where we're going to mail the ballot. And so, if you're somewhere temporarily, you want to make sure that the mailing address is current, so that we can get the ballot to you, because otherwise, we can't read people's minds and know exactly where they are. We need you to tell us where you are, and then we'll mail the ballot to that address. And that's really important, because under the section that says anything else I should know, it does remind you that voting in two places is a felony. It is. So, we want to make sure that's known, and we've got a lot of tools to be able to identify that. And we talk with other states and make sure that if someone new registered here, that their registration is canceled in those other states. So,
there's a lot of confusion about this one, just because people don't understand that we have the ways to notify other states and to make sure somebody's only registered once. And some students, they're really active in their community on campus and want to have a vote and a say on laws that are being passed in that community. Others are more connected with their previous home address where they were raised, and want to have a voice in that community. And so, again, you get to choose one. Can't do it in both places.
And if you accidentally receive two ballots, what do you do?
So if that were to happen, then contact your local election official, and we can coordinate that with the other state. So just use the information that's on the ballots that you receive, and contact them and tell them what's going on, and we can clear that up. Sometimes mistakes happen, but as long as you don't vote and return both ballots, we'll be able to fix that.
Thank you. Steve, let's go to services for voters with disabilities. I really think this is an excellent chance for people to know that you actually do have those services. Can you walk us through them?
Yeah, and there's such a broad range of abilities and disabilities that it's hard to have one solution, and so we've really got a wide variety of different services depending on how we can best serve you. And so as you can see on the web page, we've got videos, we've got ASL videos, we've got handouts and sheets that help you to know what kind of assistance can I get, what are the rules about someone assisting me. But I think even more importantly is, and I've talked to a lot of these voters, they want to vote independently just like everyone else. And so, over the years, we've developed tools to allow that. We've got what's called an alternate format ballot, where people can go and get the ballot on their computers or on a tablet and use the tools they use in their everyday life at home to be able to mark their ballot. We've got that's able to be used with a screen reader. So if you're visually impaired, it'll actually read the contents of the ballot to you and tell you how to mark. We've got large print ballots, so even if you're not totally if you have limited vision, you'd be able to see in large print and be able to mark the ballots to be able to reflect your choices. So we've tried to look at different options, and especially I think with the alternate format ballot, it allows all kinds of different plugins for those tablets or those computers, whether you use a joystick or jelly bean paddles or a sip and puff device, whatever tool you use in your everyday life, we've tried to make it so that you could use that for voting as well. And so, the hard part is getting the word out to let people know that we have these services available. And so, hopefully that will continue to grow and people will know that these services are available.
This is a remarkable service. Some people are concerned about election security. Can you briefly give people an overview of why vote by mail is so secure? I mean, we have a long history of voting by mail in Oregon. So after 2 decades of experience, tell me, is it safe? Please tell us.
We've talked about this a lot over the last couple of years.
We certainly have.
About the security of vote by mail. And, the best and most important piece is we've got a paper trail, and we have that paper record that we can go back to if anything is questioned or if there's any challenges. That being said, security is a really big issue, especially as we become more interconnected. As we're doing more Zoom interviews and online registrations and online My Vote and updating registrations, which we want to be able to provide those services to the public. Whenever you do that, that has a risk with it for cyber activities. And so we work really closely with our Department of Homeland Security, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, our federal partners. We've got state partners that we work with really closely. The FBI, the Titan Fusion Center here in Oregon. And so there's a lot a lot of participants here. We've talked about the Tiger Team in the past, which is all of these groups that work together for the security of our system. And so, if you go to our website, if you've got more concerns about, some of the more technical answers, we've got some of those descriptions on the page. There's some of the symposiums and other, pieces of information that we've put out, because we want the public to have confidence that our systems are secure. We thought that was going to be the major theme of the 2020 election. That's kind of been hijacked by COVID and some of the other issues. But nevertheless, security is still at the top of our priorities, and making sure that we keep our systems as secure as possible.
Thanks, Steve. Tell me, we have so much that we could go into on the website, but I just want to invite people to take a look at oregonvotes.gov. See if there's something there that you like. What do you like to tout before we go? What would you like to talk about? I mean, we have who's running for office, initiatives, just everything you would want.
Yeah.
What's kind of fun on this site you'd like to direct people to?
I think that's kind of the challenge, with administering our website, because we've got such a variety of different audiences. We've got candidates, we've got voters, we've got academics, we've got media, just everything there. And then you've got initiatives. You can follow the money, the campaign finance spending, on the site. You can register, you can see who's running, you can get results. So, people that come to our website, they're pretty diverse and they're looking for different things. And so it's a challenge to make it, super specific. And so we try to just put as much information out there as we can and let people go and find the thing that they're looking for. But, I think, we need to continue to be transparent about what we do, how we do it, what the processes are, trying to find voters where they are so that we can serve them, whether that's disabled, whether that's language, whether that's somebody that's moved or changed their name. And so trying to make that so that it's as easy as possible online, so that we can have the best information, because we run the best elections when we have the most current information. We know everybody's information, have their correct party, have their correct address. And it's when there's changes to that we don't know about that we have to end up sending second ballots or doing other things. And so, really encourage people to use the website and keep that information current, so that we can get the ballots to you as quickly as possible.
Steve, could you go into one of the most important things is the disqualified ballot? People may have an impression that, how am I going to know that my ballot won't be disqualified? What are the things that most often happen? Something simple that people don't do or need to know, make sure you do.
Yeah, well, probably the simplest one is sign it. It's really surprising to me that we'll get, probably half, a third to a half of 1% of ballots that come back without a signature. That's kind of an average over the last few elections. And so people just forget to sign them. If that happens, your county clerk will send you a notice that says, hey, you forgot to sign your ballot. We can't count it unless you come in and fix it. And then you have until 14 days after the election to do that. We call it curing. And so if you come in and sign it, the signature matches, then it'll still count. So I think that's the easiest one, is make sure you sign your ballot. And then, probably, just about 1% of ballots get rejected because the signature doesn't match. And, whether that's, over time, or you signed it in a hurry, or, your signature's changing over time, as mine has. But again, there's a fail-safe. If the signature doesn't match, you're going to get a very similar letter that gives you an opportunity to come in and establish your identity, update your signature so the next election it'll match,
Right.
But then also so that that ballot will count as well.
With so many states around the nation right now kind of scrambling to figure out how to do some version of absentee balloting or vote by mail, they can look to you for a little bit of encouragement and advice, I would presume. Have they been doing that?
Oh, and they definitely have. As we didn't get to the really secure and efficient vote by mail system that we have today overnight. This has been a 30 or 40-year journey that that we continue to learn and to fine tune and perfect. And so I've really been sharing that with other states. It's like, this isn't something where you can just flip a switch. There's a lot of things that need to go into having a secure, smooth, efficient vote by mail system. And so we've been talking about those things, trying to share some of our lessons learned, our best practices, and that's been really well received. But it's hard to try to totally change your voting system in 3 or 4 months. And so I feel really lucky that we're here, that we've got the great system that we have in the vote by mail, and instead of having to panic and pull my hair out, I'm able to help my counterparts in other states to make the election as smooth as they can.
For people right here, we're in Clover. We have oregonvotes.gov, and that's going to help everybody who wants to know how to vote and follow their ballot and learn about the candidates and a host of other things just by going there and exploring it, as we've done today. Steve Trout, State of Oregon's Elections Chief, the Secretary of State's office, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, it's been such fun talking to you.
Thanks, Wendy. I appreciate your efforts to try and get the word out. We're trying to be the trusted voice. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and so the more word we can get out about the information that we can provide that voters can trust on, the better. And so thank you for all you do to help get our word out.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us today on InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw. To learn more about voting in Oregon, go to oregonvotes.gov. Want to know what happens to your ballot after you vote? Enjoy this video from the site, Life of an Oregon Ballot.
After you drop your ballot in the mail or at a drop box, it is picked up from the post office or from the official drop box at designated times and delivered to the county election office. In many larger counties, prior to opening the ballot envelopes, the ballots are run through a ballot sorter that scans the barcode and takes a picture of the signature on the outside of the ballot envelope. In smaller counties, the election staff will use a barcode wand that scans the barcode to accept the ballot for processing. The barcode allows the signatures from the voter registration database to be pulled up so that the election workers can do signature verification. Signature verification is performed by comparing the signature on the voter's ballot return envelope with the signature pulled up from the voter's voter registration signature that is stored in the database. All signature verification staff have received training from a forensic handwriting expert. If the signatures match, they will go into the pile to be opened and counted. If they don't match, they go to a second election staff member, usually a supervisor, for an additional review. If the second reviewer determines it is a match, it is placed in the pile to be opened and counted. If it still does not match, a letter is prepared and mailed to the voter, giving them instructions on how to verify the signature and have the ballot counted. For the ballots where the signatures are verified, teams from different parties will open and unfold the ballots and prepare them to run through the scanning machines. They will be placed in batches and then moved to the counting area. The ballots are then scanned through the ballot tally system. If a ballot is torn, has coffee spilled on it, or some other abnormality, the tally machine may not be able to read it. If that happens, there are procedures in place to make it so that ballot is counted. The election tally systems are not connected to the internet and are kept in secure rooms with video surveillance. After the ballots have been scanned, they are indexed, boxed up, and securely stored in case they are needed for an audit or recount. All of these processes are open to public observation.